Hi, everybody. Welcome to another solo episode of the Grassroots podcast. I'm Tori, and one of the reasons that I started this podcast was based around this idea of building community. I know it's something that's been talked about a lot, and we've really, if you're progressive or you pay attention to politics, I know that we've been hearing this a lot. But that was really a foundational thing for me in creating this. So I want to kind of take some time today for episode 7 of this podcast to just kind of reflect on that concept and just on some of my past episodes. This is going to be I have no script for this, so I'm just going to kind of share my thoughts. I don't know if this will be a long episode or a short episode, but I'm just going to kind of talk um because I have thoughts I want to share. And I just, even just for myself, I just kind of want to sit with some of the things that I've been thinking and put them out there. So I want to start. Will first say, when I first started this podcast, I had like an 8-minute episode that I had recorded and put out, just as an intro to explain kind of the idea behind it and why I did it and whatever. And I did that because when I was reaching out to guests, I wanted to have like some episode out there because I was like, that's weird to start reaching out to people and I don't have an episode out. And, I thought it was strange. Since then, I have deleted or at least like archived that episode just because I don't think it's necessary anymore. But I do want to take a second just to, I guess, kind of give a little bit of background, because I think it kind of has to do, it sets the tone for the rest of this. So I've always been a more progressive person, even when I was younger. I grew up in a very conservative area with conservative family and friends. Just, wanted people to be happy and comfortable and to not be judged. Like that's just how I felt at the time. I wasn't necessarily into politics. That was just how I felt about people. But this, I don't need to get into my whole political journey. I don't really think it's that interesting. But basically, as I got older, I would watch the news and like consume, media and whatever, and was aware of things that were going on, but I never really did anything. I never did any action, or I don't know. I never did anything that inconvenienced me. You know what I mean? Um, and it wasn't until this last election in November where I really felt like, the government is just not going to come and save us, right? Like we have to, the only way to, things are just going to get worse and they're getting worse and people are just suffering and deserve better. And the only way I think to change that is for all of us to just do better. And for me, the first steps just felt like education, and really a huge step was building community. So I don't know. The idea for this podcast, it was a lot of ideas and then finally ended up being this, but that was just that's kind of where I was. I just wanted to learn from the people around me and get to know, my neighbors and make friends with people that are doing so much amazing work. And that was just my goal. And that's been what I've been trying to do with this. And I also, I think I think one of the biggest, I don't even want to say it's revelation because it's not like that any new knowledge that other people don't know, or even it's nothing that special, but something I've been thinking about a lot just within this concept of, community building, being more intentional, being civically engaged, whatever, all of those things. This idea of convenience and this like culture of convenience that we live in. And I don't know if people like our like younger generations deal with this even more. Part of me feels like we do, but also I think everyone kind of does. But it's been something that I've had to really address and acknowledge and kind of fight against recently. I've been trying to be better about even just living more sustainably and supporting, people more. So if I'm buying something, buying it at, Facebook Marketplace or, going to the farmer's market or something like that. But those things are not convenient. Those things are not convenient. We are very used to buying something and not having to talk to somebody, being able to be in the comfort of our own home, comfort of, whatever. And it's just like, it's it's working against us, right? Anyway, I know that this episode, I'm just kind of sharing my thoughts. I know it's gonna be kind of rambly, and we're just trying something new. If it doesn't work, I won't I won't do it again. But that's just one of my thoughts. Fighting against this idea of everything having to be so convenient and so comfortable because ultimately it's not for the betterment of everybody. It reminds me kind of when people say, Americans always think they're a future billionaire or millionaire even. Like we always, it's so easy for us to imagine, oh, well, one day this isn't going to affect us. One day it's not going to matter. I can just, work really hard and make a lot of money and then it won't matter. All these things will matter. And that's just not the reality. And I just don't think it's fair. It's not, and I'm speaking specifically for myself too. I'm not trying to sound like holier than thou in any type of way. I am kind of I'm speaking for me, and if this relates to you, then it relates to you. If it doesn't, it doesn't. That's fine. Um, but it's just not. I don't know. I just know for me, if I just know for me, being a more civically engaged person and just being around people more, being an actual part of my own community, I have to fight against this convenience culture and fight against this idea of, one day I'm just gonna be so successful, it's not even gonna matter, right? Because that's just not, it's not true and it's not fair and nothing is gonna change for the better if we all have that mindset. So it's just something I've thought about recently. So sharing that and really reflecting over the past few episodes, it reminds me of something Pamela McKay said in my first episode of Grass and Roots, where she had talked about privilege and some people just not having the privilege to engage and even to ask for help. Um, and I think it's such an interesting way to put it. And I'm someone who is privileged, and I have been, for the most part for a really long time, for most of my life, and it's true. Like some people, if you're working multiple jobs or if you have whatever you have going on in your life, it's really hard to give up it's hard to give up the convenience. Like I get that. But for me, it's not as hard and I should be able to do that, right? Like if it means that I'm going to go out of my way to vote or go out of my way to, support local businesses at the farmers market or whatever it is, right? Like I have the ability to do that. So I should. Does that make sense? Does that make sense to people? Um, okay. I also think something I have also kind of learned in doing this podcast, I've been thinking a lot about culture and stories and storytelling, and I really want to have more guests on, and I actually have some in the future that are storytellers, and I'm so excited to have them on. But I want to have more people on like that as well because it's so important in keeping culture alive and keeping stories alive. We have to be so intentional about it. We just have to be. We live in increasingly distracting times. It's very easy to just not sit and listen to each other and seek out stories from one another. I'm trying to think of, good examples, but I'm thinking of just like the preservation of culture, especially, I'm thinking of Louisiana, like in rural communities, the preservation of those cultural stories. Even thinking about, like in Louisiana, Creole French and the preservation of that language and the culture around that. And it's just so important. But anyway, I'm sorry, I'm going from point to point very quickly with no rhyme or reason, but it's just reminding me being intentional about fighting against convenience is reminding me about again, same thing, being intentional about fighting against distractions and being a part of, I'm trying not to say the same words over and over again, but being a part of community means talking about culture and engaging with culture and preserving it. Um, and I just think it's so important, and in a way it's been kind of lost. At least for me, I feel like I don't know, I feel like I've been distracted. And I know other people can relate to that. And I think it's unfortunate, and I'm trying to be better about it. I think we're really divided. We're very divided. Um, and I think it's a big part of it is we just forget how similar we are. And I think we forget that because we don't talk to each other as much as we should. And really, we don't talk to each other about, I don't know. We don't talk to each other about culture and about our stories and our history and our past. Another thing that reminds me of this topic is my episode with Kristen about the book bans. I mean, literally just banning stories from the library and banning our own. I mean, banning it's cultural stories, right? Like those are the stories that are banned. It's things about people. It's stories from people about people, and it's real and it's experiences. And those things are so important to have. That's how we learn, that's how we connect, that's how we engage, and that's it's so important. It's just so important. I don't know. I hope that that kind of resonates with people and maybe people understand what I'm meaning by this, but it's just stories are important. And that's something I've learned in doing this is that stories are just very important. And just in general, like going out of our way to engage with one another. I think this kind of goes to the convenience thing. The libraries is another example of that, right? Like going out of our way to go to the library. It is less convenient to go to the library than it is to order a book online. Like it just is for a lot of people. Um, but that doesn't mean it's better. Like that doesn't mean it's better for us. I just don't think it is. I don't think it is better for us. It's better if we go to the library. We're losing so many spaces where we all connect and talk to each other. And I think there's layers to why we're losing it. I don't want to just blame it on like individual personal responsibility or whatever, because I think that that's stupid for the most part to just blame it on that. It's not just that. There are external forces that are affecting that too. But I will say, I do think that there is something to be said about, I don't know if it's just online shopping or just social media or a mix of a lot of different things, but I don't know. I feel like losing those we have put less value into spaces like that when we just kind of, I don't know, focus on what makes things the easiest. It reminds me of God, I heard someone talking about something the other day. I wish I could remember. It was a YouTube video, but they were talking about someone creating a dating app when it was like it paired someone up. I can't remember the details, but it was like someone trying to create a dating app based on an algorithm where it pairs people up based on like your personality. I don't remember what it was, something like that. And it just kind of removed it. The goal was to just remove the, having to talk to people to find your like perfect person, I guess. And it's like, but why would we want to remove talking to people? You're just removing being a human person. Like it doesn't, we don't need to take everything to just try and make it perfect and perfectly easy and perfectly convenient. Like that's not what the human experience is or what it's supposed to be. So why would we try and do that? But I think we do it with other stuff too. It's like, yeah, of course it's easier to just order a book on Amazon or whatever, but going to the library, making that an experience, talking to people, connecting with people, finding a book that, maybe you wouldn't have heard of before, that's important. Like those things are important. That's part of the human experience. Um, and I think when we lose things like that, we get more and more disconnected with each other, and it makes it so much easier to be divided. It makes it easier to not be as empathetic. It makes it easier to not care and be selfish and all these different things. And I just know personally, I've been trying to really fight against that. Um, yeah, I guess that's it. Just personally, I've been trying to fight against that. So I don't know, just thoughts that I've been having, and I know some of the episodes that I've had have made me kind of reflect on that and think about that. I've had the opportunity to have such amazing conversations with my guests and hear how they connect with the people around them. And it's been so beautiful and inspiring. Yeah, I'm honored to have had those experiences, but it's made me think about a lot of these things. And yeah, something I want to add actually, if you guys listened to the episode about the March 29th election, all four amendments did not pass. If you're not in Louisiana, you may not have heard. If you are in Louisiana, I'm sure you did hear. All four amendments failed to pass. So that's pretty awesome. There was a little bit of drama after with Jeff Landry. So that's pretty cool, but luckily they did not pass. So thought I'd share that in case anyone was wondering. But again, I'm sure everyone knew it has been, well, I guess it's only been like 2 weeks, but it does feel like it's been an entire month since then. Like I said, I really just kind of wanted to have a little chat, reflect a bit on some of my past episodes, talk a little bit about my thoughts on community and being more intentional about community. If you guys like these episodes, the solo ones where I'm just kind of chatting, let me know. And if you have any ideas and want to talk about, let me know. I will try, if I do another one, to make it a I'll have more of a plan together. I just kind of wanted to chat. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this quick little episode this week. We have some great guests on coming up the next few weeks. I'm really excited about that. But other than that, it's been a great time. Bye, you guys.